I guess when I heard that we were not going back, I guess I should have took that into account to the people I'm even around, even the people who look like me. Let's talk about it.
Y'all already know what time it is. I got the black V-neck
I guess we are going back, and maybe we never went anywhere because maybe we were just pretending. But what's going on, you all? I want to talk about this Lyft situation with Dank Demoss and the anti-fatness of it all. Yes, let me tell you something. Be respectful in the comments because I won. So listen, because this conversation online is disgusting, to be honest. And I don't say that lightly. The vitriol that Dank Demoss is receiving from folks, you would think it is coming out of their own account. And it doesn't surprise me, and it's not lost on me, considering how carceral we are in the conversations about fat folks, point blank, period. And people have no issues with fat folks losing anything, because this isn't about the lawsuit or even this man's car. No one is concerned about that. People are not concerned with his ability to say no. They are interested in punishing this woman for wanting some type of access. And when we get into conversations about access, I want you all to pay attention, because this can be denied to any of us. And what is funny about this is we have seen several times where white Uber drivers, Lyft drivers, and even back in the day where taxi drivers did not want to pick up black folks because they did not want to take them to an area or be around a black person who they felt was unsafe, because this is on his ability to say no. It's also a conversation of how deeply we rely on Lyft and Uber because of all of the money they're pushing towards Congress to keep us from getting better transportation, public transportation. We have become so reliant on private companies like Lyft and Uber, where we should be pushing, and also legislators and Congress folks should be approving bigger budgets to support public transportation, point blank, period. Because when it comes to public transportation, as much as some folks do not like it, there are regulations and rules in place to make sure that it's accessible for folks with disabilities. Now, I'm not saying that Dank Demoss is disabled. I don't think she has named that, but she is a fat person and she is being discriminated on. One of the arguments that Dank Demoss is saying in her lawsuit is that if a car can hold the average person of 150 pounds and 3 or 4 people, that is more than what she weighs. So technically you could. Now, some folks would argue and say that the weight distribution and that this car would not be able to hold this person in this one spot. Yeah, that could be argued. Now I'm gonna get into something else, because if we're arguing and saying that this person could damage the car, and you've seen some people say, I used to be a Lyft driver or Uber driver, and I know what it's like when folks throw up in your car. Yes, Uber charges the person for doing something to your car that leaves it where you have to be responsible for it. They need to be charged. So with that being said, there are things that could be put in place to protect the driver. We are so hell-bent on punishing this woman, this black fat woman, that we're not even seeing that there could be a conversation where Lyft, Uber, and other ride-sharing companies should be taking on more costs when it comes to their contractors, because these companies have used specific language to protect themselves from being liable, while also making huge profits from these people who are essentially pawning their cars. They are selling their cars because the wear and tear they're receiving from these vehicles is not enough from what all they have done and the little money that they receive. So we are not interested in supporting this black fat woman. We are trying to say that we're supporting this rideshare driver who is arguing that he cannot receive this person in his car because his shocks are messed up. And it's no shade, by the way the car was sounding, he shouldn't have been picking up any passengers to begin with. While folks are saying and arguing this, it's just funny watching how people bend to what they want to discriminate at this time. And you see that because how many times have we seen Uber drivers, Uber Eats drivers, or Lyft drivers pick us up in a car that was not the right car, or drop us off food and the person who's on the count is not? Some people have complained about it, and some people have said they were not comfortable getting in the car because they do not know who the person is and they just don't trust it. And the way that these people have to do things to even get approved through Uber, why does this even exist? Why does this even exist? Because these people are desperate. They don't have the money to even support the vehicle or whatever that they have. These people have to come up with ways to scheme to be able to get on Uber and make some type of money. And it's not really their fault entirely, considering that we are heavily reliant on gig economy. As much as we do not want to admit it, the gig economy is people's full-time job. People started out doing it as a part-time thing to make extra money, some way of how we see people working a second job during the holidays, but people have turned to doing this full time. And as much as these companies don't want to admit it, they are making billions of profits, revenue off of these working class poor folks who do not have a way out and will accept the bare minimum of it all. But all of this energy that we could be focusing on the corporation, Lyft, Uber, all of these corporations that are making money while not supporting these drivers, not offering them any type of incentives, nothing besides taking their money and making it harder for them to make more money. These companies do not care. Instead of focusing on these companies, it's easy to attack this fat black woman who isn't making any type of claim or public call out or call in to support her. She hasn't asked us for any money to pay for any of these legal fees. She says she's doing this on her own, and she has a lawsuit. She has a legitimate claim, considering the state of Michigan has laws in place to protect fat folks, to protect weight discrimination. And people are angry at that. People are angry because they want to police this fat woman and her ability to say, no, this is not right. I will say this conversation is so bad that I was in the middle of revisiting Deshaun Harrison's book, Belly of the Beast. And there were things that were brought up in this book that you all deeply need to check out. I am not here to argue with you and tell you that I'm right. I'm not doing any of that. I'm about to be 38 years old. I have done my hollering online. I still do a little bit, but I am not interested in telling you that you are wrong. I'm just not. I'm here to talk to folks who are willing to listen, even if it's 5 years from now or 5 minutes from now. Get the book, support the book, read it. It's some good stuff in this book. In this book, Deshaun talks about the policing of the fat black body and tied how we have lost so many black men to police brutality because of them being fat. And this video that this police officer did, it really was deeply troubling, considering you are a slave catcher. You are a slave catcher with colored contacts, and you are out here talking about being a former Lyft driver and that everyone should not be responsible for your ability to have access.
I'm a plus size girl. Even me getting out of a small car, it takes, you gotta grab onto the bracket, you gotta pull, you gotta wiggle. Now imagine that, trying to wiggle and pull out of your car. And I'm not talking bad about it, it just is what it is. Like, that is her size. That is the fact. And the fact is, I wouldn't want to put all that in my SUV. Because again, you got to grab onto the bracket and you got to pull. At the end of the day, that is his car. And I know everybody's on both sides of the fences of the argument, but as rideshare owners, that is your vehicle. And if anything goes wrong with it, you're required to keep it in maintenance shape. That way you can transport passengers safely. So I don't blame him in this situation. So what do y'all think about this lawsuit? Do you think she should sue? Do you think she should just take the L? Like, what do y'all think? My thoughts are, no, the world cannot conform around you in certain situations.
Full stop. And I want to ask a question. When has the world ever been accommodating for a black person, let alone a fat black person? I'll wait.
Irony within the irony of you being a police officer and yet fat. And even though you share these experiences, you're still coming up short. I mean, you're coming up short because you're a police officer with color contacts. You're coming online to police, which is, I guess, in your DNA at this point, a black fat woman's experience of discrimination, because whatever you want to say at the end of the day, this is discrimination. This is a version of that. You can say what you want to say and, oh, the car wasn't able to hold the weight. It wasn't able to do that. If that's the case, then we need to find better options. If this was me in this situation, I would have allowed her to get in the car. And if there was a situation where the car was damaged for whatever reason, then the responsibility would have been on Lyft. Now, hearing folks say that it wasn't safe and it wasn't these things, it's quite funny to me for folks who laugh and joke about drunk driving all the time. It's funny watching folks care about things when it's convenient for them, because as much as some of us, I'm not going to say all of us, but we see people joke about drunk driving. We've had people, I don't care who you are, you probably have had someone drive drunk or insist that they can while being impaired. So the reactions to me to this thing tells me that she has a lawsuit. This carceral as punishment that is coming from people who are not being directly affected. Even fantasizing and saying, if this was me, I used to be one. Has it happened to you? How often does this happen? Why is this so important to you? Why is it receiving so much attention? Because people discriminate against fat people all the time. And when you add this on top of a black person, let alone a black woman, you're getting something. You're getting something. And the fact that people are not able to see this, and this conversation of we are not going back, we never left. There was no need for folks to be this upset, other than folks enjoyed seeing people like her who are fat punished for being fat. To the people who are joking and saying that she should have ordered Uber XL or Uber X, the SUV, it's way more expensive. Ordering an Uber SUV is way more expensive. So does Uber have things in place for folks who need other assistance while getting on their apps? Are they going to offer a lift to someone who is asking for more space because they are fatter at the same rate as a regular ride? And people will say that, no, why would they do that? They're making money. And if they do that, everybody might start just claiming that. People already do that now. There's people who park in handicapped spots because they want to be closer to the stores. Don't sell me these things that, oh, if they did that, folks they already do it. There are people who are doing that now. Like, it's not stopped anything. So again, I want to ask folks, for people who are heavily invested in this conversation in a way to punish this woman and are upset, why are you so mad? When she's taking it to court, she's saying, I have a case. I'm going to see if I win. She may not win. She may win. But why are y'all upset? What money is coming out of your pocket? Why are you so pressed at someone seeking some type of claim that they feel like they are entitled to? That's where the point is at. We want people who are the others to be okay with what they're getting. The same thing we do with poor folks. The same conversations about poor people who receive food stamp, SNAP benefits should only be able to purchase healthy food. They shouldn't be able to buy steaks and all these things. The same language. You are too entitled. You should be grateful. You should be grateful that somebody's picking you up. Not one time, to my knowledge, have we seen Dank come and say, hey, I need support to pay for these things. We're not seeing Dank Demoss come online and ask, and even if she did, she should be able to. But we're not even seeing Dank Demoss come online to ask for funds to support this lawsuit. We're not seeing her ask us for funds to support her lawsuit. We're not seeing that, because we have to understand that structures and systems like this determine who gets to live and who gets to die, who gets to be supported and who doesn't. And in this moment, Dank Demoss is not getting any of that, hardly any of that. And when you think about why is that, and you really sit with that, why is it? Why is it that her asking and paying for attorneys to support her and her claim, why is that such an issue for you? Why is that? Because you want to punish her for being fat at the end of the day. We want to punish her for being fat. This is why there has been so much conversation in the past about body positivity, because it has not gotten us anywhere. Because the people who were body positivity and were making money from that now are slowly losing weight. And they can do that, but without liberation, this is where we're at. Because now you are not advocating for the better treatment of fat folks and fat liberation, because it was never in your bio. It was never a part of your structure. You were just looking for visibility, which means that you would do anything to maintain and have access to that visibility, no matter what you have to do. So I fully support Dank Demoss in her lawsuit for discrimination against Lyft. I fully support it. I don't even think the Lyft driver is even named. From my knowledge, the Lyft driver is not even named in the lawsuit. She hasn't even posted any information about this said Lyft driver. And yet folks are jumping out to defend when the lawsuit is against Lyft. But we cannot see that because, again, we want to punish her for being greedy and asking for too much. And that jacket is easy to put on fat folks, given all of the media that we have consumed years and years when we see greediness and how often it is portrayed by a fat, gluttonous person. Because at the end of the day, we do not want to see fatness in any type of form, not even on our bodies. That's all I got. Let me know what you think in the comments. Be respectful, because I won't. Talk to you soon.